Alrighty folks, John, Ribbon Rock Gardens. I was getting ready to do a little weeding here, and I realized a lot of folk are total rank amateurs when it comes to gardening, and they're gardening now. So I thought I'd pull a little weeds while I talk about weeding. And what weeds are, like a lot of people say, they're just a plant growing in a spot where you don't really want a plant to be growing. I just pre-sprouted some beans, whole beans. So I got them in the house in paper towels. In about 3-4 days, I'll be bringing them and the squashes I did out here, and I will plant them alongside these corn plants. When I do that, I will be doing a traditional type of planting called Three Sisters. The squash kind of shades this entire area like this one is. It kind of keeps the weeds down. You notice some of these I'm not picking because they're types of lettuces. This is parsnips. And there's a type of lettuce I'm trying for the first time. Some sort of fancy stuff, but I really don't like it. Maybe it's the wrong season for it. It might be too warm for it here. And that's another thing about gardening. Very much everything is dependent on where you are, your local circumstances. So you can't just go by what every person says. Remember that it's okay to make mistakes, but don't bet your entire garden on something new. You'll probably notice that most long-term farmers are fairly conservative folk, and that's on account of 10,000 years of gardening. It's kind of taught us a lot of the stuff we need to just stick with, and there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Now, as I work my way through here, I'm careful not to step on parsnips or the fancy lettuce stuff that I'll probably never eat. Don't even remember the name of. This is something else, kind of fancy. I thought I'd sew it in with some of these other things because, like I say, experiment all the time. Always learn lots of new stuff. Now, I like a clean mulch like this with most of my garden when it comes to these smaller type things. When it comes to things like winter squash and melons that sprawl out quite a bit, it's just fine to let those range a little wilder. Still, you want to keep weeds down, because weeds will take away a lot of your water and nutrients. This here's one of the best lettuces, black-seeded Simpson. So as I go through here, I'll pull some of these weeds that are a continual problem, like that Bermuda grass, and some I will lay up there to dry. Here's a row of radishes. I'll grow different things in with different things once in a while. Sometimes they like growing alongside one another. Here's Here's a cactus plant I pulled out. I need to toss that off because it does stuff like helps hide the weeds. Get those weeds out of the way. Go ahead. Pull these out from the peas. Now notice these peas, they're kind of sheltered by this wall so that in the summertime they don't get as much sunshine and heat on them. So there we go. It's a simple weeding, not a hard weeding. Now another thing I wanted to talk about was how important it is to keep the soil biology alive. You'll notice how soft and easy this soil is to pick the plants from. Look at this. And it's a little bit of a loose soil. This doesn't clump together at all. It's so loose and friable, but it, other than nitrogen, it's pretty nutritious. And I add compost teas, which will be on a video, and I add a little bit of organic nitrogen in the form of blood meal and fish that I process myself. And feather meal, which comes from chickens and is a really super nutritious, full of nitrogen type of thing. Now with weeding, one thing you want to try to do is get all your weeds before they seed. These are weed seeds coming up, and so you don't want to let them go to seed and dry up and everything. Another video is going to be about growing corn, and this is where that batch of corn will go. That's why it's kind of important to get rid of these gophers. I'll also be doing one on nitrogen amendments, and we will nitrogenate this area here and give these plants some nitrogen. They're starting to get just a little light on nitrogen. You can see that by a little bit of a yellow pale color coming onto them. A little bit of nitrogen, they'll green up in about 3 days. I will show 3 different methods of nitrogenation. Don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notifications bell, and you'll see all the different videos I'm going to be making.